welcome to one of your very first lessons for drawing and painting with Miss Sheena. And we are, as you can see, going to be drawing shoes with contour line drawing. And then we're going to be coloring in the negative spaces, which is something that I'm actually going to talk about later. You're not going to be accomplishing the coloring part today. That will be in the next class, but this is your example piece that I whipped out really fast for you. And so obviously one of the first things you're going to need is shoes. I recommend grabbing a sneaker that has laces, right? Especially one that has like cool designs and stuff on it is very good. And you are literally going to be drawing it from the side. Doesn't matter if it's this side or this side, whatever, pick a cooler side. And what you are not going to be picking is a boring shoe. You're not gonna do that. This is garbage. We do not want to draw that for our main shoe. This is also boring and simple, right? So don't pick that for your main shoe. We can use these for our secondary shoes that we'll draw behind our main shoe, but our main shoe should be really cool. If you have any questions, of course, ask me on Zoom. Verify with me that your shoe is good. Once you have done that, you are going to then grab a pen or marker or Sharpie, anything that's permanent, not a pencil. And then the only other thing you're gonna need probably for the next class are color pencils. Yeah, but you don't even really need to worry about that for right now. You literally just need one marker, Sharpie, pen, doodad, and you're going to take a nice, good, long look at your shoe. What I recommend for contour line drawing is, and this is actually more than a recommendation, this is basically guidelines. I recommend that you do not do this. The hairy line. It's gonna look hairy. You also are not going to play connect the dots like this, right? And then the other thing you're definitely not gonna do is this. Yes, this is sketching. We're gonna do sketching later. This is connect the dots, right? We're not gonna do that. And then this is just gross. I don't even know what to call it. This is gross. So don't do this, okay? All right, so what is contour line drawing then? It's when you make a nice, smooth, but sensitive line to all of the little lumps and bumps and things that you see on your shoe. So when I go to draw this shoe, I usually like to start at a corner. I like to start here, or here, or here, right? And I will go along and I'll carefully notice all the little wiggle waggles and all the little bumps. I'm gonna show you how to do these laces in a way that works really well, right? Like in my example here, because there's a trick to that. And then you should be okay. Notice also in my drawing here, nothing is shaded in dark, right? I didn't color anything in. Some people do that to hide their mistakes, which would be okay only if you had talked to me about it first. There's other good ways to hide mistakes, because obviously you can't fix it if you mess up with Sharpie, right? So I'm gonna start from a corner of my shoe, and I'm literally gonna go nice and slow, finding all the lumps and bumps. Yes, cool. And I'm even rushing a little bit to show you guys kind of like what's going on. Yes. Okay, so there's the sole of my shoe, the heel, right? Yeah. Once again, I'm going fast. You should be going a lot slower than that. And you can even add in little stitches with dotted lines. That's where it's okay to actually use the dotted lines. And you can add secondary lines to help show thickness and edges and all that kind of stuff. And then for over here, what you want to do is, especially if you have rivets on your shoe, you want to draw little C shapes where those rivets go. Why are we drawing C shapes? Because we need for the laces to look like they're going to come out of those rivets. Now here's the other thing too. Shoelaces are not lines. They actually have thickness to them. So we need to make sure that we draw the thickness and show where they wrap around the shoe. Where can you not see them anymore, that they're turning the corner and going back behind the shoe? Now that we've done the rivets and the laces wrapping around from the eyelet to the eyelet, we can then draw the actual edge of the shoe that's going behind. Ah, wow, Miss Sheena, you're so smart. Does that make sense? Now, if you want to get extra fancy with it like I did, you can technically also see some shoelace on the other side. And when you go to draw your actual tie on your shoe, you can have the laces be loose, but once again, you still want to draw them with thickness. So I like to draw an actual little knot with a couple of lines. And then when I go to do the bow, I don't just leave it with a single line, right? Once again, that shoelace has thickness to it. Now you can actually see how thick it is. This is going to be really important for when we do the coloring steps next to show negative spaces. Now, just because you're drawing a bow doesn't mean that you can't have overlapping, right? So if you decide you want to have one of the shoelaces going behind, notice once again that's the second time I've used the word behind. It's very, very smart when you are doing contour line drawing with a Sharpie to draw the thing that's in front first, and then draw the thing that's behind it, and then the thing behind that, and then the thing behind that. And so now I'm doing the other shoelace, once again going behind. And I can connect it to the shoe kind of in a silly sloppy way if I want to. That's okay. So once again, at some point you get to slow down and add in all your nice little details. I do want for you to put in logos, textures, that kind of thing. Do not shade in whole entire areas black. If you're like, but Miss Sheena, my shoe is black. Yeah, well guess what? My shoe is black too, and I did not shade it in black. Cool. That being said, I did put in textures and little eyelets and all the little stitches and all that stuff, right? If your shoe is scuffed up, you can go ahead and add some little scuffs or stains to it, even is okay, right? So that's the basics. Once you have done your main shoe, you are then going to draw shoes that are both going behind it and off the page. I'll say that again. Once you are done drawing your big main shoe from the side, your other shoes that you're going to be drawing are going to be going both behind it and off the page. Behind it and off the page. Behind it and off the page. Yeah, behind it and off the page. The reason why this is so important is because you're trying to make at least 4 negative spaces. The negative spaces are the things that I colored in these fun, funky colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom, I have an extra one. If you're not careful and you don't draw your additional shoes going both behind and off the page, you will end up having to draw more shoes. So if you don't want to draw more shoes, then I recommend following that instruction. Now, obviously, for these secondary shoes, you can draw them from any angle you want, right? You can draw them from the side or from the bottom or from the top even. It doesn't really matter as long as they follow those 2 rows behind and off the page. At this point, also, you can have more fun with your shoes. You can go raid like your mom's closet or whatever. And zippers are fun, and like interesting textures are cool at that point. If you just want to draw a bunch of high heels or dance shoes or soccer cleats or whatever, that's all good and fun as long as it goes behind and off. The only rule along with that is that you continue to do contour line drawing. Now, I know that probably when I started talking and I said contour line drawing and I said you're going to use a Sharpie, you're like, oh, I'm going to cheat and Miss Sheena won't know. I will know. I've been doing this for a long time and I'm very aware of when you attempt to get around things and not actually do it in Sharpie. That being said, if you mess something up while you're doing Sharpie, like this guy here, if I continue to draw him, and I made the toe too small. That's it. By mistake, I kind of like ended it way too short like this. What I could easily do is continue drawing where I actually want for the toe to be and turn this into a seam line and add like stitches to it so it looks like it's part of the design of the shoe. Yes. Also, if your shoe is really boring and you're like, oh snap, it's not interesting enough, you can add in more designs to your shoe. You can change it a little bit if you need to make your shoe look good, as long as you're using your contour lines. Cool.